just love it. That is fast. We've just got drama on the track. Oh, no! This is the race.
Smooth. See how you get on with that, son.
This is like Glastonbury on wheels.
We will get them. Don't you worry.
4 races to go. This is Formula One.
A man needs inner peace to triumph amongst the chaos. But one learns little from victory,
It's another win for Alonso.
much more from defeat. They say fortune favors the brave. But Japanese proverb says, 運を待つは死を待つに等し. To wait for luck is the same as waiting for death. Little time remains now for excuses, even less for mistakes. 徳はそれ自身において報いあり. Virtue is not knowing, but doing.
Fortune favours the brave, and so does Suzuka, but it also commands respect. 18 of some of the toughest corners in Formula One. Get it wrong and the circuit spits you out. To win round here, you've got to be a class act. Well, all the drivers love coming to Suzuka. The figure-of-8 circuit is tight and technical. And after the rain we've had, dropping a wheel off the black stuff will be even more dangerous than usual. Japan loves motorsport, and the fans are some of the most loyal in the world. And after this, we've got just 3 races to go. We head to Korea for the first time, and then the fabulous Interlagos, followed by the flamboyant Abu Dhabi. Speaking of flamboyance, Eddie Jordan, David Coulthard, still alongside me. Eddie, what extraordinary conditions that we had here yesterday, but reminiscent of 2004.
Exactly, almost, except 2004. We all thought we'd batten down everything for this typhoon. Never actually happened. Yesterday, for me, was far worse. But ironically, where qualifying happens and the race on the same day, the initiative is always with the guy who has pole position, and because the momentum is carried forward. So don't be surprised to see our pole sitter win this race.
Yeah, in 2004, he not only took pole, Michael Schumacher, he won the race and went on to win the championship. So if you believe in omens, that's a pretty good place to start. David, how will the drivers be feeling qualifying and the race on the same day?
Well, I think they'll like it. You know, if I look back in 2004, I certainly enjoyed it because you get a chance to experience the track on the same day. And typically when you qualify on a Saturday and go out and race on a Sunday, then inevitably the track evolves, and what was a perfect setup on one day doesn't really dial in the following. So I've been talking to a few of them and the short moments we've had between qualifying, and they all seem pretty relaxed.
Well, hopefully we'll get some clues about the championship today. And let's just take a look at the table, because it's still so close At the top, Mark Webber leads the way with Fernando Alonso behind, and those back-to-back victories have really pushed him up in the championship. It's going to be tough though for Sebastian Vettel and Jenson Button where they are, although any of the top 5 could claim this. And in the constructors, well, it's Red Bull who are in the lead in that one too. McLaren's chasing hard though, with Ferrari in third. Well, these are pictures from yesterday. There were signs early on that qualifying might be a washout. Free practice 3 was testing for the drivers. The track, well, it was just like an ice rink. And the weather got even worse as qualifying approached. Those loyal fans sitting outside in the driving rain. The drivers, they were ready for action, but the waiting game began. The safety car was brave. It tried to get round in the desperate conditions, whilst the drivers were left to entertain themselves and the mechanics, but it just wasn't to be. This turned out to be the qualifying day that never was. What a difference 24 hours makes. I mean, we've had blazing sunshine here today, but it was great, Eddie, to see Sebastian Vettel and some of the other drivers coming out and giving a wave to these fans. They'd sat there for hours.
What I liked more about it was ironically nearly all the young drivers, the young cubs, as we like it, people who haven't witnessed, they've enjoyed this. They weren't here in 2004. The old hands, the Michael Schumachers. Mark Webber, I think, did put his nose out just for a moment and then fled back into the comfort of his own motorhome. But, you know, I enjoy that because I think these people here, they put up with a lot yesterday. I don't know what happened or how they organised the refund on the tickets, if in fact they did. But just a glimpse of the drivers, that's what they got. And I think they went away reasonably pleased with that.
It was interesting to see, David. Sebastian Vettel looked so relaxed. We saw him in the garage, seemed to be having a great time. We didn't actually see really Mark Webber or Fernando Alonso. Are they just the sensible ones keeping dry? Or we didn't, you know, how are they dealing with it all? Were they having their race face on?
Well, I think that the drivers know when they're in the garage they're going to be on air, you know, so it's no big surprise. So it's a conscious decision to show yourself or not. You know, the guys that have been around a bit longer, maybe they a bit tired with having to smile for the camera, so they were just back in the rooms focused. But I agree with Eddie. I think it's nice when the guys come out and wave to the fans, because they did put up with a lot yesterday, and of course the people at home who tuned in and didn't see the qualifying session either.
Well, they had a long wait, but qualifying eventually got underway this morning. Here's Ted Kravitz with all the news.
The land of the rising sun lived up to its name as the rain moved away. Finally, qualifying was dry at Suzuka. Both Lotus Racing drivers out-qualified the Virgin cars, but it was Sebastian Buemi who was the big-name dropout of Q1.
I lost a lot of time behind one of the Spaniards in the last sector, at least 2-3 tenths, so I'm a bit disappointed with the qualifying.
For the second race running, Felipe Massa had a nightmare session in the Ferrari. A mistake in the S's and a hesitant overtake of a slow Williams at the final chicane left him dropping out in qualifying 2 and starting the race well down the grid in 12th.
I took quite a bit of traffic on my most important lap, and this took me out from the Q3. It was a shame because for sure would have been the fight, you know.
Final qualifying would prove bittersweet for Lewis Hamilton. He did well to qualify third, but he'll start 8th on the grid after McLaren found a problem with the gearbox oil pressure before qualifying and then had to change his gearbox before its required 4-race cycle.
It's been one of the worst weekends we've had so far, but it feels like it's all come on one weekend as well. Obviously the mistake on Friday didn't help, and of course the gearbox change was a bit frustrating for us all.
Jenson Button's taking a gamble on a different race strategy. Starting the race on the hard or prime tyre before switching to the soft option means he'll be slow at first, but he'll be quick at the end of the race. It made for a tricky qualifying, just 5th.
I was pretty happy, but I couldn't find any more with the tyre, and I tried to do a third lap, which didn't work. So looking at it, we should have just done one lap on the tyre. But yeah, not too bad. I mean, I'll be starting the race from 5th, so on the prime tyre, different strategy to everyone else, so we'll see how it works.
Robert Kubica's quick over one lap, and with a good race pace, he will give Ferrari problems today. Kubica's third, Fernando Alonso fourth. The Spaniard knows what he has to do on lap 1.
I think we limit the damage of qualifying, and in the race I'm sure that the podium is very possible.
But Red Bull have been the class of the field all weekend and duly locked out the front of the grid. Mark Webber gave it everything, but Suzuka specialist Sebastian Vettel was just too good. Pole position by a whisker, 700ths of a second.
The car worked well in quali, and we knew we could be pretty strong today, so starting in the front row is not a bad way to start the day.
The car, feels fantastic around here, especially Sector 1. It's always very enjoyable, so all in all I think a good start to the day, but obviously the race is to come.
So Sebastian Vettel on pole and looking to dominate the race. Webber alongside and up for a fight. Robert Kubica and Fernando Alonso on row 2, then Button and an impressive showing from Nico Rosberg 6th. Rubens Barrichello leads Lewis Hamilton and Williams teammate Nico Hülkenberg, while Michael Schumacher rounds out the top 10. Japan's Kamui Kobayashi is 14th for his home race. Disappointing for Force India, only 15th and 17th. Lucas de Grassi outqualifies Timo Glock, while Bruno Senna and Sakon Yamamoto round out the back of the grid.
Well, we came to Suzuka knowing it was a Red Bull track, and sure enough, they delivered. It was very impressive, Eddie.
Yeah, probably because it was all so much within themselves. There was no stress, there was no real pain about it. It was just lap in, lap out. They started slowly, they got to their race pace, they did it with the minimum of ease. They just absolutely emphatic about their performance here. It's just super. I can't see them being beaten for the race.
And David, when you come to a track and everyone says it's a Red Bull track, does that put more pressure on to deliver? Because everybody expects so much.
I don't think it puts more pressure, quite frankly, because what will be will be. You go out, you have what you've travelled with, and you have to develop the car and find your setup and hope that the driver can ace the lap, and that means 100% in every single corner. I think that they're actually a little bit surprised that there's not a bigger gap. If you look at the top 10, well, certainly the top 9, there's only 7 tenths, and this is a very technical track. So it shows that the rest of the field have actually closed the gap slightly to Red Bull. You go back to Budapest, for instance, they had a massive gap in qualifying. But they're at the front, and that's a good place to start this Grand Prix. And again, agreeing with Eddie, I think it's unlikely that they can be beaten in this race.
You have an influence over him, Lee. He's agreeing with me at the moment. We're agreeing with each other. It must be you, the calming factor in this.
I think it's probably for one weekend only, on all counts. David, when we spoke to Lewis Hamilton, he seemed quite upbeat, but he did all he could today, and yet he's still been hit, obviously, with this 5-place grid penalty. What can he do from 8th?
Well, he can move forward, of course. All is not lost. He's still very much in the championship, but his hopes have taken a couple of knocks this weekend again because he had the accident on Friday, and then, of course, this 5-grid drop with the gearbox issue that they found quite late on yesterday. So, yeah, he'll be disappointed with that, but he's got to put it behind him and concentrate on the race now.
David, I'd like to know, just from the driver, you put yourself in Lewis's. Is he going to go bonsai, or is he going to try and just gradually work his way up through that? Because that's what I'd like, just from your mind.
I think we've seen all the evidence in the past that he's an attacking driver, and if there's a gap there, he'll go for it. One of the difficulties on this track, it's actually quite tight. This is one of the old school circuits built in the 60s, and first lap at the hairpin, which is just after the 2 Degna corners, I think we need to be careful for incidents there, because you get this massive concertina effect.
And Eddie, a great day as well for Robert Kubica so far.
He, for me, we all were staggered. He won a race last year, and he wound up in Renault when Renault's fortune seemed to be taking a massive dip. And what's happened? He's dragged, I think, single-handedly. I think he deserves a lot of praise because he's Polish. He's the first Pole in Formula One, and he has single-handedly, from me, brought that team by the scruff of the neck back to reality. And to be third on the grid here is a massive, massive success.
Well, Sebastian Vettel may have looked relaxed yesterday and this morning, but that's nothing in comparison to how he rose to the challenge this time last year. He came to Suzuka knowing he had to deliver, and deliver he did.
It's a masterful drive. Sebastian Vettel keeps alive his chances in the Drivers' Championship.
Fantastic! Woo! He won! Brilliant drive. You are the man.
Sebastian, you won here last year, and here we are back in Suzuka. What's it like to be back?
Oh, it's great. Japan is always a very special event. The fans, the atmosphere is just different to anywhere else. The fans in general, they are
crazy. They are really passionate and they know a lot about the cars, about the setup, about the drivers, so probably more than we do about ourselves. And the circuit here is one of the best in the world. It cannot be like this in every place we go to. It's just, the combination of corners you have is really beautiful.
If this was a school report that you were about to get, would it be a good one? Would it say that you've done very well this year? Would it say could have done better? How do you think it's gone?
It's not over yet.
The checkered flag falls, and at last Sebastian Vettel wins in 2010.
In terms of speed and performance, I think we can be very happy and proud.
So often it's been gremlins on race day for Vettel, but here is the reminder that he is a championship contender.
In terms of results, obviously it did not always match our expectations. It was very much up and down.
Oh, there's a run there. Vettel has lost it there, and that's gone. Sebastian Vettel is out. Sebastian Vettel's in the gravel.
In the end, I think with all the downs we had, and we had quite some, I think we are still in a very good position.
That's Vettel going out, Webber going out. What was going on there?
Honestly, I don't think we have any problem with that. Obviously, the media and people outside would expect and want to create maybe some kind of fight.
Mark Webber, you have won the Monaco Grand Prix.
There is the checkered flag for Mark Webber, and he's won at Silverstone.
Not bad for a number 2 driver.
Within the garage, it's very peaceful as it has been at the beginning of the year. Of course, there is, we are competitive. One side of the garage wants to beat the other side. That's natural. But I think if you look in all the other garages, it is probably the same.
This kid's the real deal, make no mistake about that.
Do you really believe that you can be world champion this year?
Yes.
And if it wasn't you to be world champion, out of the other guys fighting, who would you like it to be?
I have no favorite. I mean, obviously, at this stage, these are all guys I'm racing, so I don't want any one of them to win.
He's got the flat-out chip in this weekend. He's here on a mission.
Well, David, you know Sebastian well. He's scored his 8th pole position today. So far, though, he's only managed to convert one of those into a victory. Has it been a tough year for him, would you say?
Yeah, it has been a tough year, there's no question, but I think the way he's handled it is commendable for someone so young. And he's very much a free spirit. He doesn't rely on any sort of bag carriers or managers around him. And I think it's quite impressive actually how he's been able to deal with the disappointment, because in many ways he should be leading this championship when you look at the amount of pole positions. Normally that's not a guarantee of success, of course, but it makes your weekend a lot easier if you can convert them.
And Eddie, they used to call him Baby Schumacher, and it's actually ironic that now he seems to be pretty good friends with Schumacher. I think he's maybe advising him. They hang out together in Switzerland. Do you think that's a help to him?
Well, actually, I'll probably be castigated for this, but probably Michael Schumacher is wishing that some of the raw speed that Vettel has might just move over on top of him and go a bit quicker. Because, look, Vettel is a class act. He is as nice a person we've seen in Formula One. He would make an absolutely great world champion, and I do believe in time. I think this year may be more difficult for him, but he is a super nice guy to work with and would be a great ambassador for our sport.
Well, Sebastian Vettel might want that title, but it's his teammate Mark Webber who's leading the championship, although the Australian claims that he's not even thinking about it yet.
Leading the championship for now, but not as quick here as teammate Sebastian Vettel, and just second on the grid. For Mark Webber, the Japanese Grand Prix is now about minimising his championship points loss. But he knows another consistent performance and a podium today will mean he keeps the championship lead going into the final 3 races.
Today is another chance to put some good ones on the board, but also, when you're racing, there's a chance to lose some as well. So, as we've seen with some other guys in the past, up and down a little bit, and also me, I've had some, races where you don't get everything out of it. So, let's hope we can get a very good result today.
With the Ferrari only being the second quickest car here this weekend, Fernando Alonso says he can't hope to beat Red Bull on pure pace, but at least hopes to run Vettel and Webber hard enough to push them into a mistake.
We need to pressure Red Bull. We know they are very quick, but if we put some pressure, maybe it comes a mistake. But we see at the moment they are very dominant this weekend.
He's failed to finish 3 out of the last 4 races, and now Lewis Hamilton's flagging championship has suffered another blow after that 5-place drop on the grid for a gearbox change. Lewis has been short on practice and will do well to rescue some big points today.
Of course, we want to win every race, but the sun is out. The Red Bulls are half a second clear, and so for me, I have to do everything I can from where I am to try and get third. That's going to be very, very tough, but nothing's impossible.
Just 1 point behind Hamilton in the championship, Sebastian Vettel is poised to take advantage of McLaren's bad weekend. He's on pole and has been fastest in all the dry sessions. Vettel's dominated the weekend. He knows he has to make hay while the sun shines, though. As this is one of Vettel's favourite tracks, anything less than a win will be a failure.
I'm positive. I think you have to be, and we are here to enjoy. So I think we'll have a nice race this afternoon. The car is all set. Didn't have any trouble, and it felt fine, so it should be good.
And while Jenson Button's in better shape than teammate Hamilton, he still has an uphill struggle today because the McLaren is the slowest of the championship challenging teams. A new F-duct and rear wing that the team brought here has not worked and has been taken off the car, and Jenson's taking a big bet on running that different tyre strategy than all the other championship runners.
It's possibly a gamble. I don't think it's a big one. And we'll see what happens. I mean, the soft tyre for us on Friday was very difficult to handle. So we'll see what it's like on the prime. Obviously, everyone else is on the soft tyre, so overtaking is always tricky around here, but we'll give it a good shot.
Well, Martin Whitmarsh joins us now, fresh after one of the longest interviews in television history with Martin Brundle yesterday, I think. McLaren's had some weekends so far, highs and lows. Lewis did all he could today, considering that 5-place grid penalty.
No, I think both the guys did a great job today. I think to bounce back, as you say, we've had a bit of a disappointing weekend, but I think Lewis and Jenson did a great job. We've taken a risk, arguably, with Jenson, but he's on the prime tyre. That cost him a place or two, but I think he should be in a good racing place.
Martin Jenson, judging by the way you were interviewed previously, your body language gave the impression that he defied team sort of strategy and went along his own way, and actually he came up with a good result. Is that the way it works?
No.
Come on, you know it does.
You've just proven you can't read body language. I mean, in truth, he wanted to go for it, so do his engineers. I think on the pit wall, maybe we're a bit more racy, but we could have intervened if we thought they were going wrong. But it was their call. I think they made it right. And I think for Jenson, if he was comfortable on that tyre, he thought he could have got it. I mean, we're 2 tenths away from being on the second row. So, it was very close to being up there on the harder prime tyre. He can run for 3/4 or most of the race on that tyre. So if we don't get any rain, I think he's in a very strong position.
And Jenson seems to thrive in situations like that. If anyone can make it work, Jenson could.
I think he can, and Jenson's great in the car. He uses his head, he knows what he's comfortable with, and he felt he could get a lap on that harder prime tyre. Probably could have been a little bit quicker on the option, but I think for the race, he'll be careful with those tyres, he'll make them last, and I think he'll have a good strategy.
You brought some upgrades for this weekend. Where exactly are you with those? Because we heard that some of them were taken off. And
well, some of them are on the car, some of them aren't. I mean, Friday is a test day, and it was a fairly interrupted test day. We haven't had many miles, as you can see, or will have seen. It's a completely new front wing, changes to the floor, but the rear wing, which we are rushing around trying to do, we didn't get enough miles on, so we've reverted to the old wing. We'll carry on doing some work. I'm sure we'll see it again in Friday in Korea, and hopefully we'll get it to a point where we're happy to race with that.
Martin, surely at this stage you must be, in your heart of hearts, you must be thinking we have a far better chance of winning the Constructors' title than the Drivers. Now, we know that, the glamour is the Drivers' Championship, but we know where the cash comes from. So, in your mind, you're now focusing totally on the Constructors' Championship.
Well, if we were just pure business, we would, but we're not. We love the sport, and as you say, you really want to win the Drivers' Championship, and we've got 2 drivers that want to win still, and it's tough, but we've got 4 races. There's 100 points on offer. We looked down and out earlier this weekend. I think we're now proven that we can race well, and we've got to make sure we prove that later this afternoon.
We've spoken about Jenson. Tell us about the mindset of Lewis, because he's had a pretty tough couple of last races.
He has, and he's had a tough couple of Grand Prix getting here. He's had a tough start to the weekend, and bang, he did it in qualifying today. Virtually, I think he had 6 laps before qualifying. He went out, he started on the intermediate, he went to the prime, then straight onto the option tyre and set a lap time like that, which, you know, was really almost there on the front row. So I think you can say his mind's back there. You know, we always know how strong and robust he is. He can bounce back, and he now, you know, he's obviously back in 8th because of the gearbox change, but he'll be racing hard, I'm sure of that.
Martin, thanks very much for joining us. I hope you have a great day. Well, if you just look over to my left, you can see lots of laptops, and sometimes that sums up Formula One. Very often you just see cars plugged in at every opportunity in Formula One. That's because the engineers need all the data they can get.
Drivers constantly talk about checking their data to improve their car. So what are they looking at, and where does it come from? The data is collected by 115 sensors, 4,500 channels of information to the team of engineers behind the scenes. Teams use the telemetry data to fine-tune the car setup and to monitor temperatures and pressures. Often the teams know before the driver that something is wrong. For example, this sensor gives an early indication of a slow puncture.
And there is front brake wear high. We need you either rearwards brake balance or look after the front brakes.
Stop. Looks like a water leak.
Your brakes are about to go. Be very careful, okay?
The drivers use the information to fine-tune their driving technique by comparing overlays of their own and their teammates' fastest laps. A data overlay, including its printout, will include engine speed, which gear they're in, wheel speed, a timeline difference between the 2 laps, steering angle, brake pressure and profile, and the angle of the throttle pedal. Let's compare 2 laps of Timo Glocks in the Virgin Racing. The red line represents the faster lap. Into the hairpin, he's braked later, slightly harder, but kept more speed and a big time gain there. We can see a big improvement on the way into Spoon Corner, and that's because he rolled off the brake pedal slightly earlier and gave it much more throttle in the middle of the corner. It's very easy to see where you're getting it right and where you're getting it wrong.
Well, just take a look behind me and you can see Lewis Hamilton sitting in the car. But if bad things come in threes, then surely now he's reached the hat-trick. His race has ended prematurely the last 2 times out, and this weekend he's hardly had any running, but he's still not giving up.
You know, when you arrive at a weekend, you've had a week and a half of no driving.
They're coming together then.
Broken steering arm.
He's out of the race.
He missed all of the race in Monza, half the race in Singapore.
Here comes Hamilton on the inside. Webber has the inside line. Is they going to come together? Yes, they have. For the second race running, Lewis Hamilton is out before the finish, and it's no points in the championship.
Next thing you want to get out is just have lots of laps, just to get back into the rhythm. And I went out the other day and totaled the car.
Obviously, we were used to seeing really attacking and aggressive racing for you. That's something you're famous for. That's something that we all love to see. The risk in that, of course, is occasionally you're going to get up close and personal with some of these guys. And, you know, how do you deal with that disappointment? Obviously, we see visually when you jump out of the car, you know, sometimes you're obviously throwing the steering or whatever. But
I've only done that once.
You've only done it once, okay. It's expensive, actually. Any idea how much
it is
they cost?
expensive, yeah. Fortunately, they asked me to tell me the other day, it's not damaged too bad. I don't ever feel like I'm a sore loser or a strop or anything like that. I'm very, very hard on myself, you know, and I feel there's no reason. I've done that maneuver, for example, or I've done that corner 1,000 times. There's no reason why that should happen. You know, I could do that in my sleep, and then something goes wrong. People, you come to the next race and say, well, have you made any changes? I mean, what can you change? You know, you can't rewind time and find out exactly what you did wrong. It's just a part of life, and unfortunately, everyone says it's character building, but geez, how much character building can you have? But you just have to take it on the chin and approach it again. And I only learned that from my dad, because I get out the car and I want to kick. You want to kick something. You want to throw something. You want to let all of the energy out. but my dad always taught me to contain it and turn it into positives.
We're all different. I found that come Monday morning after a Grand Prix, I was over whatever mistake I'd made that weekend. Are you able to deal with it much quicker than that, like Sunday evening? Or?
I think, well, some people probably linger on it a lot longer than others. I mean, I've had definitely races like Fuji in 2008, started pole, messed up the start, got a penalty from the first corner, and the race was just a disaster. And I remember I didn't speak to anyone for 3 days. And then I won the next Grand Prix.
3 days,
3 days. Just complete silence in my room, just collecting my thoughts. I was so disappointed and upset with myself. But then there's some days where you walk, and more so now with the experience. After the last 2 races, the walk back, got back, got changed straight away. I didn't leave the media waiting too long. And it was really like the next day, get up and training. You get back when you run, I'm gonna be fitter for the next race. That's how I'm gonna be better.
The way you handled the disappointment when you got back to the pits, I thought was commendable. You know, you'd gathered your thoughts, and the last thing you probably wanted to do was to go out and talk to the media, but you did. And you did, so that showed like a real maturity.
I do realise that I have grown. Clearly, people say it's character building, and I'm always wondering what that actually means. The last thing you want to do while you're fiery and your emotions are high is go and not be yourself in front of the camera, kind of thing. But I don't know, I was able to do it, no problem. And I think that is clearly from experience and hopefully me slowly becoming more mature. I've been doing it for 4 years now, kind of feeling old already.
Is that right? So you don't feel like a new Grand Prix driver?
Well, just recently I started to feel more of a rookie with the few incidents that I've had. I tell you what, I feel like these 4 years have gone so fast. I'm nearly 26.
Oh, 26? I can't even remember being 26.
Going on 38.
Well, it doesn't hurt getting older, but you've got a few years ahead of you.
Yeah.
Well, the cars are leaving. Japan's own Kobayashi just going past us there, and there's Lewis Hamilton in the garage. He's just heading out too. David, he seems remarkably calm in that conversation you had with him. Just such a strong sense of self-belief.
Indeed, I think that's part of what makes him so successful. He was obviously product of early planning in karting, coming up all through all the various formulas, been part of the McLaren system for many years. And of course, like any person, he makes mistakes from time to time, but he's been around, I think, long enough in the sport to know that you can't beat yourself up too much about it. You've got to get focused on the next event.
Eddie, why is it you think that people seem to be so critical on Lewis when he does make a mistake? Because for some reason, a lot of people seem to hit him harder than others, like we don't expect it from him.
I think there's various reasons, and I think one of them must be the fact that he has this unbelievable talent. I think one of the critical things was becoming world champion. I think he is a calmer person. If he was still fighting to achieve that, I think you'd find a much more difficult person to either interview or, in fact, to focus. So I think that people beat up on him because they believe he's so good and that he is not achieving the kind of expectation that either they or he has about the possibility of all these wins that he should be having.
Well, let's see what he can do today. David, you're off to do the grid walk to help out Martin, so we'll let you go. But in the meantime, here's how you can watch all the Formula One on the BBC. Just to remind you, there are a variety of ways. You can check out the iPlayer where you can find all of the action from this weekend, from practice, and that's right through to race coverage. We've got the website where you can keep up to date with all the news. That's bbc.co.uk/Formula One. And if you want to follow your favourite driver on the circuit, then the driver tracker is for you. This is the same one that the teams use, and it's definitely worth a look. And if you want to press the red button during the race, you can ride on board with the drivers, and afterwards you can watch the forum.
Thank you very much for pressing the red button to join us for the F1 Forum.
We want to try and find out what makes this place, Singapore, so special.
Well, it's lovely to see you, and lovely, I'm sure, to be reunited with Eddie.
Yeah. Do we cancel the race or not? So they say it's all going to be okay.
So we hope they're right.
The guys are just getting the boxing gloves ready right now. Can we film that? Yeah, I'm up for that. Yeah.
What do you look like? I thought I paid you properly when you were with us.
All your emails, all your texts, all your tweets. Thanks for getting in touch.
Eddie, the car is going past Robert Kubica, who we mentioned earlier on. I mean, Renault have had a real revival thanks to him.
I think it's down to one man, and you have to say it's Kubica. He's been majestic, triumphant, in fact. What he's done here, single-handedly, he has dragged this team, which was floundering, really, and actually it looked as if they possibly could have gone out of business or closed the doors. It was that grim this time last year. So well done to him, and to be third on a grid, which is absolutely a driver's circuit. And you do need a proper car here to get up to that kind of position. So well done to both of them for actually making sure that this is happening. It's a big story.
Petrov starts from 13th today. Robert Kubica told me earlier on that he really wanted an experienced teammate beside him. Do you think Petrov will be there in 2011?
Well, it's a difficult call. You know, we're not sure how much of that team Renault actually own. It's owned by a private equity firm, as we talked about in the past. Now, if their criteria is that they need an influx of cash to make sure that the viability of the team keeps continuing on a commercial basis, then of course Petrov has a reasonable chance there. He brings a lot of money to the team. But you have to equate that then about the points that they're losing as a result of not having an experienced person in the team, because points mean money. So you can balance the books whichever way you want to do it. They've decided to do it with Petrov. Whether they continue, I can't say.
Making all that noise going alongside, oh my goodness, there seems to have been something's happened out on track. There's a loose wheel. We can't see, oh my goodness, a Virgin has had a massive off at the moment. We can't see who that is. Lucas de Grassi has had a huge off, Eddie, and that's extraordinary. And one of the...
That car is absolutely destroyed. It looks as if it went straight on. That's just coming into the chicane, I think, at the start and finish, just coming down to the... And what possessed him to be going, I just don't know what happened, because you really shouldn't be going at a lot of speed at that stage.
Well, let's take a look and see what happened. Lucas de Grassi just seems to go straight on. It's very, very odd.
At very slow speed. What's going on there?
Well,
I have no idea. The car is destroyed.
The car is destroyed. Lucas hadn't actually had a bad day. He'd out-qualified Timo Glock this morning, and he needs all the help he can get at the moment, because he is another one fighting for his seat for next year. Well, Martin and David are on the grid at the moment, and Martin, an extraordinary way to start this race so far.
Yeah, we're just watching it up on the big screens here. Actually, we can see above the pits the car looks very badly damaged. It looks to me as if he got caught up a little bit wide onto that artificial grass where it's going to keep a bit of moisture.
Yeah, as you've already said, that was the extra 130R, and really shouldn't be a big deal getting through that corner flat out, but it did have a little bit of a wiggle there, so it's either touched some moisture on the curb, or of course maybe there's something let go in the car, but nonetheless not somewhere I'd want to go off.
Yeah, exactly. A hallowed piece of tarmac, the start at Suzuka, quite steeply downhill. You can use the hand clutch, I guess, and just leave your foot on the left foot on the brake, but you did a couple of starts in the Red Bull. Just take us through the procedure.
Well, the great thing about when I did the practice starts at Silverstone in the week, of course, I had no one around me, so there was no real judge of whether I was making a good start or a bad one. But the procedure is, especially on this quite steep hill and the run down to turn one, they'll cover the brake, of course. They'll pull in one clutch completely, so it's hard against the back of the steering wheel. Second clutch will be set there, just moving out of the way here, make sure I don't get run over by a Renault. The second clutch will be set at 50% of its travel, and basically what you're going to do is when the lights change, they'll immediately drop the first clutch. That gives them the quick reaction time, and the second clutch takes over and the driver controls the start from that point.
So you can still get it wrong as a driver. There's still a human element to all of that control function.
Oh, absolutely. There's a load of parts of the start which are down to the driver. I should just clarify, they don't actually have two clutches, they've got one clutch with two clutch paddles.
Two clutch paddles, and then you use them independently. Shall we see if we can get ignored by Michael Schumacher? I think, I don't know if he's just talking to... Michael, happy for a quick word? So, top 10 again, Michael. Nice watch, you want to buy it? And top 10 again, satisfied with that?
No, not.
Why not?
It certainly would have been possible to go further forward, but we had a technical issue. with our air duct that unfortunately worked in the wrong areas, and it was a bit difficult.
Can you fix that in the Parc Fermé regulations? Is it an easy fix?
No, we have to deal with it. We have to live with it.
How much time do you think that's costing you?
I don't know. I mean, it's like having a couple of degrees more front wing.
Okay, but nonetheless, the Mercedes seems closer to the pole position than we've seen in some of the other races. So surely the progress is there.
In a way, we weren't expecting to be too strong here. So for that fact, has gone pretty well. Yeah.
Good luck. Okay, good luck. See you later. Have a good one. We'll wander forward. Now this gearbox on Lewis Hamilton's car, you know, they could have changed that after Singapore without any penalty at all after the incident, because if you don't finish a race, you don't take a penalty for another gearbox change. But what they didn't want is a fourth race gearbox in Abu Dhabi. We're thinking ahead, but it's cost them dearly, hasn't it?
Well, it has, but I just wonder if they were thinking that this might be one of the more difficult races for them anyway. So it's about trying to, you know, they've got simulations available to them and they'll know which circuits they expect to be really strong. Talking to Martin Whitmarsh before the race there, then clearly they're impressed with just how close their drivers managed to get to the Red Bulls in qualifying. So it just goes to show sometimes simulation isn't entirely accurate. Yeah,
but the gearbox is serious. It's very easy to go, what a load of idiots at McLaren. Why didn't they change it free of charge? They wouldn't have had to have him back in 8th place, other than he would have started in his brilliant 3rd place in qualifying. But the gearboxes are sealed. You're not allowed to go into them. And that's how the FIA keep a check on them. So we're P8 on the grid. What do you think Lewis Hamilton's got to do to make the difference and get himself back into the hunt where he should be?
Well, talking to some drivers who've spent a lot of time here in Japan racing, the inside of the starting grid apparently has more grip available to it. I was never aware of that. I think I always started on the left. But pole position is on the left-hand side. Lewis is positioned here on the inside in the run down to turn 1. The McLaren, on average, have been the better starters. So he's got to be thinking he's going to be nailing the Williams within the first few metres. And then he's right underneath the gearbox there of Nico Rosberg. And obviously, engine for engine.
I don't think Nico is going to be yielding too much, is he? That's for sure. I don't know. Are you hiding something at the back we're not allowed to look at? Or are you just bored?
It just makes you think that, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, we'll have a look at the front then.
Do you really think anyone's wanting to copy this?
Mafia thing.
Ooh, stay clear of Brackley if I were you.
Well, in fairness, last year it was the class of the field.
Yeah, so we've got Nico Rosberg there. He's just wandering off the grid. And let's see if we can doorstep another driver or two. I'd really like to talk.
What about this one here?
To this man
he
here.
looks ready.
Have you got time for us? Or we'll walk with you. Right. You're really annoyed after quali this morning, aren't you? That you were not a bit higher up the grid, but you could be the man to watch in the second half of this race, couldn't you?
Yeah, I think we made a good call on the tyres, and we'll see if it works this afternoon. But yeah, the weather's pretty good for us, and you know, we'll see what happens with the soft tyre. I don't know if it's going to grain or what. You know, everyone might be lucky and they have no issues with their tyres, but I'll be surprised.
But if Kubica and Alonso are slowing you down, then it's going to wreck your afternoon, isn't it?
Yeah, it is for the win. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it is. So I got to get past them.
Quite a narrow track here. Any concerns for the first lap?
No, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, the only thing is, you know, I'm on the hard tyre, so it might be worse off the line. I don't know. We have a very good start, so it shouldn't be an issue. And it's downhill, so we should be all right. Cheers, man.
Cheers, Jensen. See you later. We'll wander back across.
Very chilled, isn't he?
To the grid. I've got a pass tucked in my shirt, mate. So let's see if we can catch Fernando Alonso down there with the usual posse of people waiting. Oh, look at that, look.
Oh, hold on. Actually,
there.
Martin, before you go out, Adrian Newey here checking out the Ferrari. What are you looking for?
Sorry, I didn't hear anything you said.
I said you're here standing looking at the Ferrari. What are you looking at?
Just seeing if they've got any new tweaks on the car. People are still developing race by race, so it's good to keep up with what the opposition are up to.
And have they got something?
Not as I've spotted, but they may well have.
Okay, well, good stuff. Your cars, Adrian, you're 100% confident. You got any Achilles heels in there you're worried about, apart from the drivers running into each other?
You never be 100% confident. They're very complicated cars, a lot can go wrong, so we've done our best to prepare them as well as we can. We'll see how we get on.
You nervous?
Always nervous.
Cool. Right, Alonso is over here, but he's got a million people standing. He did say he would be happy to have a word. This is going to be such a scrum, and they're just going on to speak to Kai. Kai used to be a boxer, so we don't tend to interrupt and push him out of the way too quickly. And hopefully, if we sort of just crowd him a little bit and tell him we're going to have him down in the 5th, he might hopefully get out of there. That worked, didn't it? Fernando, He's coming back. Yeah, we're going to be really quick. We're going to be really, really quick. But I think he's really keen to talk to his public in the UK. And if I spoke, well, I guess they're talking in English, aren't they?
Yeah, probably. You see the Ferrari engineers, mechanics here all got black armbands on, Martin.
Yeah, I think that's because some tragic deaths with some Italians in Afghanistan. But we will. I think we will get a quick word with him. He's obviously getting some last-minute information. We'll give him another 30 seconds, but I don't want to miss the opportunity. It's pretty intense that's going on here as well. So it's unusual. They've had a lot of preparation. Obviously, preparation's been disturbed for this Grand Prix, and so there's a little bit of last-minute detail. We'll give him another 10 or 15 seconds, and then if not, we will wander up. I think he's happy to talk to us, Luca. But he'll soon tell me to go away in a number of languages. Quick word, Fernando. So is this a race for third place you're in today?
Well, obviously that will be good for us. I think first two positions, if nothing strange happen, I think normally should be for Red Bull. They are very dominant this weekend, but we'll try third and maybe something happen to them as well.
Quite a deep conversation. Sorry, Martin. Quite a deep conversation there with your engineers. Can you give us some insight?
Well, there is some concerns about the start. We did 2 starts now at the end of the pits with some strange results, so we are looking at this.
Okay, thanks. Well, that's remarkably frank, isn't it, of Fernando? Thank you, Luca. Appreciated. Let's see if we can talk to Mark Webber. I don't think we had seen too much of him. He's unfortunately not here yet, so... right.
I think he's gone off for a comfort break, Martin.
They're putting some dry ice in this Red Bull, DC. What's that for and why? I mean, and why doesn't it drop out the first time they brake down into the first corner? There's some gluing going on here on the grid.
Yeah, what's going on, Kenny?
That's a small running repair. It's nothing to worry about.
Bodge, I think bodge is what we call them, isn't it?
You might.
What's the problem? Is it the brake?
Just a small tear in the brake ducts and the drum. It's not a problem.
So no major issues then.
No, nothing to worry about.
How much dry ice do you put in these things? Why do you need the dry ice?
Well, it depends on how fast you need to cool the car down. Every circuit's different. Depends on the climate. We fire up the car just to cool it down, and so we can run it, get it up to the right temperature.
All right, thanks for that. I've got an expedition to the commentary box, so I'm going to have to wander off. If we don't see Mark Webber heading back, I think unless you've got some other gem of information we need to share at this point, there's none of the Red Bull drivers. There's young Vettel coming back on. Then I've got like 30 seconds and I'm out of here. Shall we see? We'll do a pincer movement on him down here, probably a bit like he's going to get when he heads into the first corner. He may say he doesn't really want to talk to us so late, but...
Seb, one quick line before the start. Before the start, anything?
I understood for dessert. No. Well, should be a good one. Weather is nice. We start from pole, so let's see. Car is quick, so it should be fine.
Okay. Good luck with it.
Okay, that's it. Back to you, Lee.
Martin, thanks very much. His first race is the one to the commentary booth, so let's see who wins that. Now, we saw the extraordinary off from Lucas Di Grassi and his Virgin car. We couldn't quite make out what happened. You just see him heading off into the distance. He's climbed up to safety. The car has been craned away, and it looks in a terrible mess. Let's hear now from John Booth. He's with Ted Kravitz.
Well, John, first of all, tell us, is Lucas okay? We saw him walking away, seems fine.
Yeah, we got no radio message from him, but he walked away and didn't seem to be injured in any way, so that's the main thing.
Okay, and secondly, tell us what you know of the incident.
We can't establish anything at the moment. Nothing broke on the car as we can see, but we'll keep analysing until the race starts.
Okay, so you've had a look at the telemetry and you can't see anything mechanical that's broken down from that point of view?
That's right, but it's not 100%, but that's what we're seeing at the moment.
And Lucas didn't say anything on the radio, I made a mistake or anything like that?
No, so nothing at all.
I see you brought Timo through the pits. Was that just for another check for him, to do another lap for him to make sure everything was okay?
No, we always planned for 2 practice starts, so there's 2 drive-throughs that was normal for us.
Okay. Unfortunate start then?
Yeah, but he's okay, that's the main thing.
All right, thanks, John.
Well, the main thing is that Lucas Di Grassi is okay, but it's really strange, Eddie. I mean, no telemetry, no radio message, no nothing.
And even more intriguing, I mean, they're supposed to be at just start procedure. Their mind is set on how they make sure the tyres are clean. It's in the best part of the circuit. They shouldn't really be doing anything untoward. And for it to veer off at that angle, I mean, he says nothing broke, but I mean, how else could that, you know, you could see maybe that a wheel gets over a curb just as he's coming into that corner, but I mean, it's just very concerning because the car was taking its own mind, and certainly the driver had very little influence what was going on there.
Yeah, he certainly did. Well, Lucas de Grassi couldn't get it right, but they say that when it does go right, that there's no better feeling in the world. The man on the high and on pole position is Sebastian Vettel. Let's see how he did it.
Sebastian Vettel is on pole position for the 8th time this year, up to 190 miles an hour down the pit straight. His left hand already on the F-duct to increase top speed. Down into turn 1. Incredible, he barely slowed down, so turn 2 becomes the first real corner on the lap, 100 miles an hour, hard on the throttle, towards the S's, 130 miles an hour, just playing with the throttle pedal, no brakes required, sweeping from apex to apex, so fluid. It's beautiful as he's at the bottom of the hill for the Dunlop curve. 140 miles an hour, quick confidence lift there, then hard on the throttle, up to 170 before Degner corner. Watch this, down one shift, 140, hard on the brakes for Degner 2. So early on the throttle pedal, towards the right-hand kink for the braking zone of the hairpin, down to just 50 miles an hour. Great patience going on, tried to throttle a bit, now he's full throttle, left hand straight onto the F-duct. This series of sweeping long right-hand bends, absolutely easy for these modern Formula One cars. And we're trying to spot a braking point for Spoon corner, 190 miles an hour, down to 140 for the middle part, down to 115 for the final ever tightening part of Spoon. Uses all of the track available, left hand back onto that F-duct. He wants top speed towards 130 hour. The engine is singing towards 18,000 revs, turns in at 190. No hint of a lift of throttle. Just the final chicane to go. Brake down to just 60 miles an hour. 5 downshifts. Avoid the initial curb so as not to destabilise the car. Slam the throttle down. Traction is absolutely perfect as we accelerate towards the line. A brilliant lap. Just 7 thousandths of a second faster than his teammate.
David Coulthard has sprinted back to join us. Who do you drive for in DTM again?
Mercedes.
And did you not just say to them who would want to copy this about their F1 car?
But they had the winning car last year as Brawn.
They did.
They have probably the best engine in Formula One, but it's not the car that's setting the pace right now. I think we've got to be honest.
Just goes to prove all those people wrong. Of course there's no conflict of interest.
Disappointing Sebastian Vettel doesn't speak Scottish.
Yeah, did it actually sound like I asked him what he wanted for dessert?
Absolutely. No wonder I can't understand a word you say.
Well, somebody who does talk an awful lot of sense is Ross Brawn, and he's with Ted.
Well, Ross, tyres critical as always. How long before the soft tyres start to grain, you think?
Well, it's degradation, and I think I'm not sure we'll have to suffer too much graining, but just general degradation. And that's going to be about 10 laps. I think 10 to 12 laps is going to be the crossover, but track's obviously quite different to what we had on Friday when we assessed the tyres, so we'll keep it pretty flexible.
Okay. Thanks, Ross.
So 10 laps for the soft tyres, Eddie?
I have a sneaking feeling this is going to be a big day for Jenson Button. A lot of people ridiculed his choice to run on the hard tyre. There wasn't that much difference at the time, and I think Jenson, he looks quite smug in himself. Well, smug is not the right word, but, you know, confident that the decision he made, because he made that effectively. If Martin Whitmarsh is truthful about what he said, he more or less made it on himself, by himself, and as a result it'll be a huge flip to him if he's able to get this one over the line on the podium.
Well, I think the key thing for him, the concern he has, is just getting the prime tyre off the grid. Typically the option tyre, the softer tyre, will be worth a few metres potentially on the run down to the first corner. So if he can average out a fairly good start on that prime tyre, he knows he just has to be patient, because you'll get the benefit of the track rubbering in and that option tyre later on in the race.
Just briefly, it was interesting hearing what Fernando was saying about his starts and what was happening.
Yeah, I thought that was, actually I was taken aback that he was so open with us, but yeah, clearly they've got some concerns about how the car, they practice a start leaving the pit lane, and he drove through once and did another start, obviously concerned about the initial practice start, so you know, it'll be third time lucky for them hopefully.
One name, who do you think will win?
Well, Sebastian Vettel's been setting the pace all weekend. He needs to win this race, and Mark Webber doesn't.
At the risk of agreeing with him again, I'll actually go for Webber.
OK, well, it's been a dramatic Suzuka already, and we've not even started the race yet. Qualifying's been ticked off, but now the real battle commences. Enjoy the Japanese Grand Prix with Martin Brundle and Jonathan Ledgard.